What's up, squad? This is Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, if you're looking at the latest headlines, it seems as though Israel is losing a lot of friends. First, you have President Trump going to the Middle East, his first overseas trip in his new administration. And where did he go to? The Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. Why is this such a big deal? Because the Gulf states got smart. They saw how Trump operated. He's all about one thing, right? The deal, making a deal. And you know what making a deal requires? Negotiation. And to negotiate, you have to know yourself as well as your counterpart or your enemies for the purpose of negotiation. In the Gulf countries, they know very well what Trump's weaknesses are: money and flattery. And they rolled out the red carpet, meeting him, bringing him in the most extravagant way, parties, festivals, grandeur, beautiful settings, traditional dances. The list goes on and on. $400 million jets. Like, they really rolled out the red carpet for President Trump. And you can tell that they did an amazing job because President Trump did something that a lot of American presidents in recent memory has not done. He pretty much ignored Israel. He went all the way to the Middle East, had a great time, signed some great military deals for American companies, and he did all this. Even they were having backroom talks with Hamas to try to get the situation settled, uh, as far as Palestine two-state solutions and hostages. They negotiated for the last of American hostages to be released. He's done so much, especially with the Arab parts of the Middle East. But going over there, going to the Gulf states, and coming right back, flying over Israel, is almost unprecedented in modern times for American presidents. And this is really interesting considering how Trump started his presidency as the saying goes, Jacob Fatu sayings go, all gas, no brakes. He started his presidency all on board the Israel train. There was nothing Israel can do wrong, regardless of the horrific images that were coming out of Gaza. President Trump backed his ally and threatened if the hostages wasn't released, that hell was going to be let loose. And we all know that hell is going to be directed towards the Palestinians. And so you look at this situation with President Trump flying past Israel. Now you look at the headlines recently, and more Western allies are stepping away from Israel. In this situation, it's the UK, Canada, and France. And they're simply saying no more. No more expansion, no more suffering. Israel, in their defense of saying we want the last of our hostages released, they have stopped food, medication, and fuel going to Gaza. They're also pressing for more settlements within the West Banks. And the countries of UK, Canada, and France have said if they continue down this track, there will be concrete actions taken. And obviously, it's going to primarily deal with trade and financial components, but it's only a matter of time before this type of talking intensify. One of Israel's ace in the hole has always been its ability to partner with this Western stronger nations, which gave it cover. Its alliances and partnership with Western nations have really allowed Israel to have great technology, great support, and relationships, and which allows them a lot of freedom within the Middle East, where they're surrounded by nothing but non-Western countries. So their premier ally being America, but also the UK, France, and Canada, but primarily America. So if you're Israel right now, if you're Benjamin Netanyahu, You gotta be kind of thinking real heavy right now. Now, let's not forget, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is considered I think, one of the savviest politicians and in the modern history, especially within Israel. I believe he's the longest serving prime minister, a matter of fact. And there's no secret, this guy is a person who really bends arms. He was infamous before the October 7th attack, where as many as 1,200 people were killed by Hamas in October 2023. It was infamous when you was looking at images of Israel. It was protested against Netanyahu, especially coming from the left fringes of the center to left fringes of the country. A lot of people didn't like this guy. They just thought he was too deep state, too insider baseball, and he was just too soiled to rule the country. He came down. Remember, he made that extreme kind of coalition with the far right wing to get elected, coming hard down on judges, basically trying to give himself immunity. He was going to court before corruption. So he was known at that time for really fighting legal battles and trying to stay ahead of the game, which he has done thus far. And subsequent to October 7th, he's kind of taken on this Churchillian figure of never surrender, even though Israel is by far more technologically and organizationally superior to the forces operating in Gaza. And since October 7th, they have turned Gaza to what even Trump would say is a demolition zone. Like, it's a demolition site. It's nothing but rubble. And on top of that, at this moment, they're not even letting any aid in. And what many people are believing is they're trying to pop this baby like a zip and push all of the people out of Gaza, because eventually they want to acquire Gaza, and they want to push settlements in the West Bank because eventually they want to acquire the West Bank. And they're trying to find suitors, deals, and host countries to basically open up for these Palestinians, which would be a severe breach as far as many countries, especially UK, France, and Canada, are concerned. So it's going to be interesting to see how long Israel can withhold this aggressive stance. They're saying they're not budging. And of course, there's going to be compromise. There has to be compromise because Israel can only go so far. As I said, the secret of Israel's strength has always been its alliances and its ability through foreign policy to influence its major players or its major partners in its foreign policy. On the downside is, if Israel gets stressed, they could do one or two things, right? They can pursue even greater diplomatic efforts, trying to come and compromise at the business table and try to get something pushed through, possibly a two-state solution that they can live with. On the other hand, they may feel cornered. As Sun Tzu say, always give your enemy an out. Because if the Israelis feel cornered and they feel it's them against the world, it can get messy. When I get messy, I mean they can go full on apocalyptic. And they say, okay, the Palestinians not leaving, we'll make them leave. As of now, the death count is estimated to be around 50,000 people, men, women, and children, Palestinians that have passed away in that Gaza Strip. That is horrific numbers considering the population and the size of that land. Absolutely horrific numbers. And the fact that Israel isn't done yet, and the fact that Israel has cut food, medical attention, and fuel, meaning that these people can't even sustain themselves, those numbers are likely to go even higher. So prayers for all the people that are suffering because of this conflict, because I don't think there's a single human being that wants to see the suffering that's going on right now in Gaza. But understanding Israel is very interested in securing what it believes is necessary for their future survival. Where this ends up, who knows? But all we know is every day is more precarious than the prior. Hopefully cooler heads prevail. If you got any insight or you have any notes of commentary about what you've seen, how you understand the conflict of Palestine, Israel, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think a two-state solution is possible? Feel free to comment below. Love to hear your thoughts. As always, if you like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until next time, take care. Bantu up.